Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Woo!
Woo.
We're back in the saddle.
There's a song in there.
Yeah, but we're not gonna sing it. We're not gonna play it. Because we don't want to get hit with a DMCA takedown. So, welcome one and all back to the Newfangled Motion Picture Show. I am your host, Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And today, we're going to be reviewing a movie that we saw in a movie theater for the first time since Call of the Wild back in...
Was it December?
February?
January?
No, it's February.
February?
Yeah, it was February. Anyway, we're going to be reviewing Unhinged, starring one Russell Crowe.
And a bunch of people you never heard of.
Yeah, Russell Crowe's the only one who matters, because you haven't heard of any of these other people. But before we get into that, just want to let you know we're gonna do a spoiler-free review of the movie, and then we'll give you a spoiler warning, and we'll go more in depth into it after that. And before all of that, though, man, it feels good to go to the movie theater again.
Yeah. Oh man, this is.
As
of now, we've been to the movie theater 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
Well, really, in the last 8 days, 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was last Sunday.
It was, and
we saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're not going to review that one.
Yeah, you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you haven't, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Go watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
If you haven't, we don't want to talk at you.
Yeah, we're not going to associate with someone who hasn't seen that.
But anyway, yeah. So
because your life, your priorities are just all
right
off. Anyway.
Yeah, so Unhinged, number 1 movie in America right now, which is funny because under literally no other circumstances could that possibly be the case.
1 out of 1 is still 1.
It's also the worst movie in America, or the lowest movie in America right now because it's the only one.
The only one that's new.
Although we did also go see Bloodshot, and we'll be reviewing that as our next one.
Yeah,
it's new-ish.
Theaters in our town closed before we had a chance to see it.
Yeah.
So now it's being shown as an old movie.
Yeah.
I think it should be shown as a interrupted, like its runtime was interrupted. And
yeah, we only paid $5 for it though because it's an old movie. Could you hear the air quotes in that?
Yeah. Anyway, Unhinged. This movie was better than I expected.
It was better than it had any right to be. Not saying it was a great movie or even necessarily like a good movie, but it was entertaining.
It was actually pretty competently written because I said, and that it sounds like a strange thing to say about it, but we were talking about this and there was no instance where I'm like, why didn't they just do that? Because we're like, I hope she does that. Oh, she does it. Right? There were very few instances where you're just like, why don't they just do this?
Well, there was one thing at the end that I was like, this is what I would have done. There's a couple instances where I was like, well, this could have been done better.
None of them were like, oh, that was stupid.
Yeah, nothing was like there were no stupid, but there was
no plot holes anywhere that I can think of.
Yeah. There wasn't anything where you were like, how did he acquire that, or how did they get
basically
to that?
Everything had a setup and a payoff, and so there's nothing left hanging. There was at no point did you ever question like how did that happen or anything like that. It all made sense. It was competently written script. I have an issue at the end. It's
very minor, minor. Yeah.
We can get to that. It's not anything that ruins the movie by any means, but overall, it's actually was a pretty decent movie.
Yeah, Russell Crowe was, for a big fat guy, is really menacing and like
he. You know what? I mentioned this to you when he's that heavy. He reminded me a lot of John Goodman.
Yes, I can definitely see that. especially with that beard going on.
Yeah, and that he put on this sort of drawling accent.
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to be a blue collar kind of guy.
Right, but I mean Russell Crowe, I think he's from New Zealand or Australia.
I think he's from Australia.
One or the
other. We're on IMDb right now. I can find out.
But
God, look how much thinner he looks in that picture.
Yeah,
New Zealand. You're right. New Zealand.
He's a much younger man there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he put on this sort of quasi southern, not like real heavy. He did a pretty good job with it, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes, someone will put on this, like, southern drawl, and it just sounds really fake and, like, a parody of an actual southern accent.
Yep.
But he did a pretty good job with it, and, I think overall the cast did all pretty good performances, even the child actor.
Yeah, there wasn't anything in it that was cringy or just bad acting.
No, there was at the end of the movie I don't remember the names of any of the characters, but the main
Russell Crowe's lead credited as the man. By the way,
she delivers a line, and the line is pretty cringy.
Oh, it's real like 90s action movie one-liner, but it's the only instance of that sort of thing. Not like in Bloodshot, and we'll get to that in our next review, but. It was, the acting was. I mean, the acting was good. It was what you would expect from a Hollywood movie.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to write home about, but nothing wrong. So
yeah, I didn't have any problems with any performances. They had some pretty major like stunt work as far as car crashes and stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of collateral damage in this movie.
There's also a couple of car crashes where we were like, okay, come on.
Yeah, there's some that would never happen that way.
Yeah.
A car gets hit and then rolls. Like, well, no.
Yeah, it's like not enough force and hit too low on the frame for that.
Yeah, like a minivan is not gonna roll over.
It's not gonna roll over when it gets hit by like a small Kia SUV or whatever.
Yeah. It'll move probably, but it's not gonna get rolled over. But yeah, I mean, it's an alright movie. I don't really have any complaints about it. Nothing major. Like I have one thing we'll talk about in the spoiler section, or well, there's the one piece of dialogue, and then one.
I don't even remember what the line was. I hope you do.
I do remember.
I remember it being real cheesy. I just don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But if you remember it, we'll get to it.
I remember it. Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's like the only new movie to go see right now, unless you also live in a place where you didn't get to see Bloodshot. Frankly, I think it's probably a better movie than Bloodshot. But it's yeah, I mean, it didn't really matter what the movie was. We were gonna go see the first new movie that once theaters opened up.
Yeah.
So we just lucked out in that this one was actually pretty decent and worth going to the movie for.
Yeah, I mean,
we paid full price movie ticket for it.
It's a very competently made movie or a competently written script. Anyway, nothing drags out too long. The movie's only 90 minutes, and it does not need to be any longer or shorter than that. It's contained in just the amount of time it needs to be to tell that story, and it does that fairly well.
Yep.
So, I guess the spoiler warning?
Yeah. So what was the line? I don't remember.
Okay, so this needs a little bit of setup for two things. One, she has this pair of scissors with candy cane, like red and white striped scissors.
Right.
Candy cane scissors. Because she is, as far as I can tell, like hairstylist or something. But she's like like clients call her to their homes to do styling. Or something.
There was a kind of a throwaway line that mentioned that she had lost her salon.
Oh yeah, that's
not
right.
too long prior.
So she was doing anyway. So she has this pair of scissors, or shears would probably be the actual term, right?
Probably.
Anyway. So that's one thing. She has these on her. And that's set up in the beginning. Chekhov scissors. All right. So when they have the
I mean, I don't know who all actually listens to our show, but if someone doesn't know what a Chekhov's gun is, do you think they'll get what you just said? They'll get your stupid joke?
No, because they would have to know what a Chekhov's gun is.
I mean, but like, do you think that that's common? Is that a common term for people to know, Chekhov's gun?
I don't know. If
go
if
look it
movies.
up. Go look it up. We're not going to explain it here.
So anyway, when she first encounters Russell Crowe's character, he's at a stoplight and she's behind him, and the light turns green, and she's in a hurry. She's got to get her kid to school and stuff. And,
her life's really not in order.
Yeah, her life is not in order at all. Anyway, so she honks at him like
real honk,
like lay it on, honk, honk, and he's still not moving. She pulls around him, honks as she drives by, and all this stuff. At the next light, he pulls up next to her, and they have this conversation. He's like, "I think you meant to just give me a little like tap, beep beep. Is that what you meant to do?" And she's like, goes back at him. No,
it was a courtesy tap.
Courtesy tap.
Yeah,
he called it a courtesy tap.
I remember the
beep,
line
beep.
now.
He's like, that what you meant to do? And she says, no, I didn't, and stuff. So that starts this whole thing because she wouldn't apologize for laying on the horn. And anyway, so at the end, she takes her scissors and stabs him in the eye, and then she says, here's your courtesy tap, and then kicks the scissors
further into
his eye.
Yeah, I remember now. That was real,
like, oh, really?
Real dumb.
The other thing, the plot point, is at the end of this, when the police show up, she and her son have both been beaten up by this guy.
Nearly killed. Her brother, as far as she knows, is dead. Her best friend, childhood best friend, and divorce lawyer is dead.
Her brother's fiance is dead.
Yeah, just, a lot of death, a lot of violence.
Anyway, so this cop comes in, lets her know that her brother is not dead. He's just in the hospital, but he's going to be okay. And she's like, well, can I go and see him? Says, yeah, sure, we got your statement. You can go. I'm like, no way.
No.
She would have been put into an ambulance, and her son would have been put into an ambulance and taken to the hospital.
Yeah, like...
or whatever. And then after she was checked out, after they were both checked out, then they might be released. But depending on what kind of damage they both have sustained.
Even if the EMTs looked at her and were like, no real physical damage, a couple of abrasions, we'll put some bandages on you, whatever, she would not be allowed to drive in the emotional state she would be in.
Right.
No way.
And then, I mean, she's been in several car accidents throughout this movie. She's been beaten up, hit with things, punched by this very large man.
I mean, he's like
thrown into the wall.
I made the joke about his big beady claws because there's a shot where you see a close-up shot of Russell Crowe's hand, and it's like a big slab of ham.
Russell Crowe is a large dude.
Yeah,
you could tell he's just got some power behind him.
Yeah,
right. And so, yeah, there's no way that she would have been left to just drive off. She and her son would have both been put into an ambulance and taken away.
Frankly, I'm surprised after coming down off of the adrenaline that she must have been having pumped through her the entire day that she didn't just collapse out of exhaustion.
Right. So that's, as far as plot goes, the only real problem I have with the movie.
Yeah. The car crash thing was like, they hit a minivan with a small SUV from about 40 feet away, distance.
Yeah.
And the thing rolls.
It was basically like the van was like in a driveway, and then she came from the driveway across the street.
Yeah.
And then hit it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very far. I was like, there's no way that van would roll from that.
Yeah. Also,
there were a lot of car flips and rolls and crazy car crashes.
Yeah, it's like the director was given a budget and he went, "Holy shit!" when he saw the number.
Yeah, he's like, "Well, all right, we got Russell Crowe. He takes up that bit of it, but then the rest of it."
Yeah,
it's like Russell Crowe takes up that decimal place, but the rest of it's going to car crashes.
Yeah, and the thing that I was like, I don't know why they wouldn't have done this is, he's following her in her red Volvo station wagon.
Oh yeah, that's something else. She managed to drive that thing pretty fast. I owned one of those.
Well, you owned an older one. I owned it for a little bit too.
But I mean, she must have had the turbocharged version
Yeah.
because
That
that station wagon has an underpowered engine.
Well, I think by the time they had upgraded that by the time
Well, the one I had was a 91.
4 or 91.
It was a 91 wagon I had.
Yeah, and I had it too, and that thing topped out at 70 miles an hour on the freeway. But anyway,
Unless you're going uphill, then it topped about 40.
Yeah, I think it was a piece of shit. But anyway, but I mean, her having a shitty car is kind of a plot point because like things are just going through a nasty divorce. Well, I don't know how nasty it is, but like she's going through this divorce. She apparently lost her salon fairly recently. Her son has been late to school so many times that if he's late one more time, he gets detention. And her because she's late to an appointment, her biggest client fires her, and then like on top of all that, like she has this shitty Volvo that she can't afford to replace or fix. Apparently, it's got like the check engine light and the battery light on.
That actually does not come into play. I was expecting that to come into play at some point.
Like, yeah,
she couldn't start the car when he was coming on top of her.
Yeah, I was expecting at some point her to be unable to start that car. It never happened.
So
I guess that is one thing that got set up and didn't. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, at the end there, when they're going through her mom's old neighborhood that apparently is like confusing streets and stuff, must be like some master plan community or something. They like parked this red, Volvo wagon in the garage, and he's gonna be looking for that car. I was like, well, what they should have done is parked that wagon in that driveway and ran to a neighbor's house and been like, hey, don't know if you've seen the news today, but that guy is chasing us. Please let us use your phone to call the cops. And while he's looking in that house where the car is parked, Yeah. So, yeah, that was like, they're clearly not thinking clearly here.
Right, but it's still not a situation where we're like, well, that's the obvious thing to do. Why didn't they do that? I could still see plenty of people doing it the way they did it.
Yeah, that's true. But that was my thing. It was like, also, when they're trying to wave down that cop on the freeway and get his attention, and then he causes the car crash that, like, or he like spins, he like rams the cop or something. Like, what I would have done to get the cop's attention is I would have sped past him so that he starts trying to pull me over, and then like led him off the freeway somewhere and like trying to, get to a police station or something. And then when you get there and go, look, explain the situation of why you did what you did, and I think they'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was actually expecting her to do that too. Yeah.
Nothing that's like, well, that's stupid of them, but things that were like, well, there's obviously a better way they could have done that.
Right, but the movie, so much of the movie hinged on the fact that she didn't have her shit together, so.
That's true. Also, when you get out of your car at a gas station, take your phone with you.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Like, so much stuff wouldn't have happened if she had just done that.
Or, if you're gonna leave your phone in the car, lock your car.
Yeah, that too. But otherwise, I'd say go see it, especially because there's nothing else right now.
Yeah.
So the next movie we're gonna review, as I mentioned, is Bloodshot. Because we also saw that this weekend. But then after that, the next new movie we're gonna watch or we're gonna review is Tenet. Hopefully. Finally. I mean, not hopefully. It's like I can go buy tickets right now.
All right.
Assuming the governor doesn't shut down movie theaters. Other than that,
fingers crossed. I wouldn't put it past him.
I think that's the only thing that would prevent us at this point from seeing Tenet next week or in 2 weeks. And then that same weekend is Bill and Ted Face the Music, which doesn't have any tickets available yet in our town. So
maybe they're hesitant to put it against Tenet. I don't know.
Well, it says that it's gonna be released in theaters and on streaming on the same weekend.
Yeah.
And Fandango lists it as being released in theaters that weekend, but there's not currently any show times, which I've noticed more than just a few days out. Like most of the theaters in town don't have showtimes listed right now.
Yeah.
Things are weird, obviously. But then later in September, finally seeing The Kingsman, which will be cool. Love the Kingsman movies. Did we review the second one?
I don't remember.
I can't remember how long we've been doing this.
I just remember our first movie was Alien Covenant.
Yeah. But then that's it for September. Hopefully we start getting back into the swing of things. We got Wonder Woman in October. But look at this. There's a weekend in October with no movie release scheduled. Death on the Nile, which I had forgotten about until just now.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about it till I saw something
It's got
about
Armie
it.
Hammer.
About it.
Oh man, Armie Hammer. Like, I just feel like this movie's not going to do that well. Continuing Armie Hammer's trend of being in movies that don't perform well, but not because of Armie Hammer. Which is a shame because I like Armie Hammer. But anyway, yeah, that's what we got coming up. We're real freaking excited because, like, we love going to the movie theater. Although we're not going to our, right, we're gonna have to change our regular theater because they switched to Pepsi, and that's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
So we'll have to figure that out. But we're seeing movies in theaters again, and that's exciting. It's been 6 months. Yeah, just about.
Yep.
So, yeah. We'll be getting back into the swing of things. Check out our other stuff that we did in the interim. We played through The Last of Us Part 2.
It's kind of like a movie.
Yeah, kind of. Check that out. There's a playlist somewhere. Anything else? No, that's it. All right. Well, until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.